Anxiety. Anxiety is a negative form of stress. It can be caused by worrying. It could be the fear of losing or messing up in a sporting situation. A player might experience high level of anxiety when they are taking a game-winning penalty. This amount of anxiety can lead to the reduction in performance because they are overthinking the situation instead of calming themselves down. There are two different types of anxiety: cognitive and somatic. Somatic anxiety um, Somatic anxiety, symptoms of somatic anxiety, for example, butterflies in the stomach. Um, Somatic anxiety can cause your heart rate and breathing rate to increase. It often happens before. It often happens before an important game, for example, a semi-final football match. These have a negative effect on sports because it can lead to worrying, and that can mean you are under aroused and not playing at your best. Having these thoughts can get you Having these thoughts that you get from cognitive anxiety can set a performer back. Before the game, when you're in the changing room, you might experience high levels of somatic anxiety because all that's in your mind is worrying about messing up and how you will look like on the pitch. On the other hand, if you are in the changing rooms, you still experience high levels of cognitive anxiety because of the thought process and the pulse and the parasympathetic nerve. Which goes to the brain and tells the body to have a high level of adrenaline, which will increase your heart rate and breathing rate to get you ready for the exercise. There is two other dimensions of anxiety: state and trait anxiety. State anxiety. State anxiety. State anxiety. State anxiety is the thought or feeling when dealing with certain situations. It happens when someone makes a mental assessment of some type of threat. This could be mental rehearsal before the game, so going through what you're going to do when playing a match to make sure that you don't go wrong. Trait anxiety arises in response to a perceived threat. Trait anxiety is part of anxiety which is partly stable. Trait anxiety determines the amount of state anxiety that is experienced in any situation. Their effects on performance. Both trait and state anxiety will influence performance. An example of how state anxiety will affect this is when you're playing hockey and you're on the bench, your manager tells you you're about to come on the pitch and play in 5 minutes. Someone with high state anxiety will be thinking and worrying about going on the pitch. Depending on how much anxiety the person feels is a measure of trait. So a trait would be someone with trait anxiety would be worrying about the penalty from the moment the ref made the decision. They will worry about it so much that the state anxiety is high. Anxiety management techniques. However, there are many ways you can manage anxiety to get rid of the worry and feeling that may have a negative effect on your performance. As there are two different types of anxiety, somatic and cognitive, there are different types of ways of dealing with it. For example, somatic management would be going for a jog, taking deep breaths and meditation. This will reduce the amount of somatic anxiety you will experience because when you experience this form of anxiety it has an effect on your breathing rate and heart rate, so anything that relaxes the body in a physical way will reduce the amount of anxiety you will experience. On the other hand, cognitive anxiety, you might think through the game, plan and mentally rehearse what you're going to do to build up confidence ready to perform. This form of anxiety is a mental rehearse. This form of anxiety is a mental form, so anything that you do mentally to reduce the stress is a form of cognitive management. Stress. Stress is a psychological state produced by perceived psychological forces. Stress is a response of your body challenged or threat. You experience stress when situations, events, or people make demands on your body or mind. Stress is linked with a negative feeling and linked with anxiety. There are different types of stress. We have the physical type of stress. This is a hormone called adrenaline, and this increases the heart rate and could increase blood pressure. Over time, stress is a bad thing. We also have the stressor, which is the environment that induces the stress, and then we have the stress response, which is a psychological change that occur as a result of stress. If we take John Terry penalty as an example, we can see that the stress of the crowd and everyone watching them. The stress example, we can see that the stressor was crowd and everyone watching him. The stress response was him slipping and missing it because of the stressor. Stress is linked to the situation. For example, if you put a pro footballer in a pro hockey match, they're most likely to deal with high levels of stress because they're not used to the environment. In sports, there are many different things that can cause stress. For example, a big competition could cause stress because it's very important. There is two different types of stress. Eustress is a good form of stress and can give you a good feeling. Some athletes may seek out stressful situations as they like a challenge. An example of this would be if an athlete wants to complete 100 meters in 10 seconds and they do that, they're going to feel a positive feeling. And there's distress. It is a negative form of stress. It is an extreme form of anxiety, nervousness or worry as a result of perceived inability to meet demands. An example of distress in sports would be if there is a very important game and your manager decides to stop you. There's 10 minutes left. This will make you feel distressed because it is a negative form of stress and you really want to finish that last 10 minutes. Sympathetic nervous system. Stress can have an effect on your working body. For example, if you are feeling highly stressed, then you may experience your heart rate going up. If you are taking a penalty in hockey, you may experience stress because your teammates are relying on you to get a goal. Your heart rate will go up because your body is trying to cope with the stress, and often when your heart rate goes up, so does your breathing rate. So this is another symptom of stress. Another symptom of stress would be increased adrenaline in a sporting situation. When in a sporting situation for a sprint, waiting for the gun to go off, you might most likely experience stress. Your body releases adrenaline to try and prepare for what's going to happen. Blood will also divert to working muscles when you experience high stress, because when you're doing sport, blood goes to the working muscles so they don't fatigue as quick. Parasympathetic symptoms. After you have experienced the sympathetic nervous system response, you will now get the parasympathetic symptoms. This helps you relax from the sympathetic system. So the heart rate increases and the breathing rate increases because of high level of stress. In sports, they now both decrease because your body is relaxing. This also means that there is a decrease in temperature because there is no longer dealing with high levels of stress, and it makes the muscles relax because there is no longer a strain on them. So stress management. One stress management would be cognitive self-talk. This can reduce stress of an athlete because by telling yourself you can do something, it gives the athlete more self-confidence, which will reduce stress because you have less to worry about. Much like anxiety, there are a lot of coping techniques. For example, meditation. By doing this, it takes your mind off the stress and calms you down. Another way would be deep breathing. By deep breathing, it reduces your heart rate and breathing rate, which are increased when you're stressed.